Okay, so first of all, when a looping pattern happens, so when you recognize, oh shit, I've been here before, I'm in the loop. This is actually a really good thing. This is your opportunity. So the universe will continue, universe, God, guides, soul, whatever you want to call it, will continue to dole out to you the exact same pattern over and over and over again as an opportunity to do it differently. So here's what you've got to do. This is how you alchemize it once you recognize it. So, one, you got to recognize a loop, right? Once you recognize that you're in a loop, gold, because before that, you were just existing in the loop. You see what I'm saying? It was just life. Once you can recognize there's a pattern here, there's a loop here, you're already starting to transcend it. So once you recognize that, you want to see, okay, I've been here before, and you want to pay attention to what has my pattern been, right? So this circumstance of life happened again. Okay, how have I typically dealt with this? Because that is where you have power to do it differently. And it is the whole reason you're receiving it again. It's the opportunity to do it differently. So once you recognize it's a pattern, and then once you recognize the pattern in which you have handled it, now is your opportunity to change the energy around it, which is the alchemization. So you want to ask yourself, okay, I see how I've handled this before. I see how I've thought about it before, but this is the first time I'm really recognizing it. What would I prefer? And this is where you're going to really kind of tune in, tap in to a different frequency. So, thinking about like a pattern loop is one energy frequency, and you're just going with it, right? It's like you're just riding the wave with that looping pattern frequency. But once you recognize the loop, it's like it's still looping, but you're outside of it now. Now you can choose where you want to put your energy to create a different outcome. So if you got this loop of like all of this stuff that's happening, okay, I've been here before. How did I handle it before? That obviously wasn't the way because here it is again, right? What would I prefer in this situation? Now, what you've got to be really, really clean on is it's not what would you not prefer? What would you prefer? How would you like yourself to be in this? How would you like this to play out? How do you want to see it differently? What's the outcome you would prefer in this? And start intentionally directing your power, because this is the power you have, your power, your energy towards the outcome that you want. Essentially, you've stepped out of the loop, you see the loop, and you're like, I don't want to loop. That's not what I want to do. Okay, what would I prefer? And once you go, what would I prefer? And you start getting really clear and clean on it, again, not out of prevention and fear, right? Going back to the other modules, prevention and fear is going to keep you looping always, always, always. What would I rather? What would I create? What would I love to experience? Having all of this has happened. I accept that. I recognize it. It's a pattern and I fed it. Okay, cool. Laugh at myself. Let's move on. What would I prefer? What would I prefer? And you start thinking about the outcome of the situation in the way that you would prefer it to be, in the like almost, for me, it feels like this kind of magic in your belly, like this kind of magically transmutes into a different situation. What if something miraculous happened with this? And then what if that happened? And then what if this turned into that? And you start to feel into what would it feel like for this to be entirely different. And you are intentionally directing your focus and your energy to a frequency that's outside of the looping pattern. This is how we alchemize. I'm not rejecting it. I'm not going, this is bad, this is wrong. I'm going, how can I kind of move this momentum to a different level? So this is how your alchemization happens. And you can do this with anything, literally anything. This is where your magic and your power is really going to start to come online. The moment you see something, you have the opportunity to go, do I prefer that though? What would I prefer? And you're intentionally putting all of your energy towards what you prefer. that's going to move the energy in a different direction. It can't not move it in a different direction. So now your work in this, and you've already like paid attention and noted it, your work in this is to not allow the mind to get caught in the loop, right? We are in control of our minds. But if we've allowed the fear-based mind to lead us for a really long time, it can feel as though the mind is stronger than you are. You are the one who's in control of your mind. It's going to raise up old emotions that have that cortisol, that adrenaline that come with fear. And so you've got to witness it and you got to say, that's not actually real. It's not actually real. Everything that I'm feeling, all of the fear, is something I'm making up about a potential future. Is that potential future what I want? No. Okay, so then I need to take all that energy back in and redirect it to the potential future that I do want. And so this is where you start that real like discipline mind training, but this is your power. You have this power and you have to just continuously do it. The more you do it, the more that you're going to strengthen that muscle of your ability to control where you put your focus. And that's when you start becoming the power of your life rather than life seeming like it dictates you. Okay. Click, click. Okay. So that's the steps of that. Like you've got to recognize the pattern, recognize your pattern, and then choose intentionally, refocus your energy towards what it is that you do want to get into. And that breaks the pattern.